What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to Maps Exposed. This is the series where I go over all the hotspots, lines of sight, as well as the most common spawn locations on every map in Black Ops 4 multiplayer. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the map Militia, and first up, as always, let's have a look at the general hotspots that you'll find on this map. Now, the first hotspot is quite obvious. This is where you will almost always find somebody, typically the campers, and this is in the middle hut area that overlooks the middle of the map. People are constantly fighting over this area, and people will camp in here like crazy, especially Torque people. They'll put down their razor wire and their barricades, and they'll sit here all game in a lot of cases. So if you're ever looking for a fight, there's usually somebody here. Just be aware they're likely set up and camping hard. Now, across from that, we've got the bridge, and there's typically people that are sniping or using assault rifles or LMGs here that are trying to pick the people off that are in the top hut area. Then we've got the middle house area that has the underground bunker, and then it also goes up towards the sea domination area. This is also a relative hotspot where typically people will be traveling through here. They don't typically camp here too much, but it's a very common route that people will take, and fights often occur here. And finally, this leaves us with the church area, typically in the church window. Even though it's not technically a window, it's part of the wall that's blown out. You will often see people going for that area there, as well as the little choke point just outside of the church. So those are the main hotspots on the map. If you're ever looking for a fight, these are typically the best places to be looking. Now let's move on to some great lines of sight, as well as any other sort of things that I wanted to point out on this map that I feel will be really helpful to know. And with Militia, I don't have a ton of lines of sight, but the ones I do have, I feel are very good and very useful. So the first one here is to get a great line of sight on the people that are in the top hut area. If they're camping up there really hard, especially if you want to go for those long shot medals, all you have to do is come back to this area right here and go prone. From this area, you get a great line of sight on the people that are up there. They often won't see you here unless they're using like a thermal sight or something, because you're just so far back from where they would expect you to be, and you can pick them off really, really easily from back in this area. A lot of times I'll also just approach this while standing up, and I'll try and get a line of sight on here before moving up towards the B domination area. That'll just be a great check spot. You can head glitch this, you can crouch to take cover, stand up, and you get a great line of sight on them. Also, another thing I like to do is as I'm pushing up this way, I like to peek here again, just because there's almost always somebody there, so it's always good to just keep checking there constantly throughout a match, and you have a great piece of cover here to challenge them like that. Now, another thing I really like with this bridge here is if I've got the enemy spawning back in that area there, and I know they're going to be coming through there, and I'm pushing up and being aggressive, what I like to do is simply walk up to this area right here, and there you go. You get an amazing line of sight through here. I've gotten so many kills in this position, and you almost always catch them completely off guard, sprinting straight towards you, and they just don't expect you to be here. I see far too many people just mantling up into this window like this, and that's not nearly as good as simply using this for cover. Now, getting to the B domination area here, what a lot of people don't realize is you can actually get up this waterfall. I've seen a lot of people try and like mantle up this way, and it just doesn't work for you. You can't get up there, but there's a little ledge here, and from this ledge, you can hop up here, which does give you a little bit of a line of sight on the people up there, and they often won't expect this. They aren't going to be looking down in this area most of the time, so sometimes you can take them off guard and pick a guy off through this area. But I also wanted to point out, you can use this ledge to jump up here, and then simply jump across to get on top of the waterfall. This is great for the people that might be camping like this right here, and they're not really watching that area over there, and they think their back is safe. You can easily flank around that way. Now, the next thing I want to show you isn't a line of sight, but it's something that I find is extremely useful, and I use this all the time now that I know about it, is if you want to get up on this balcony here, don't take the ladder. This is exactly what they expect. Your gun's going to be down when you come up here, and it's just not the best thing for you to do. Instead, the best way to get up there is to simply jump on this rock first, and then jump across like that. You'll easily mantle up here, and then your gun is going to be down for a much shorter period of time. Also, once you're on the rock, you can see if somebody's waiting for you in the doorway, and you can shoot at them if you need to. And then if they aren't there, then you simply make the easy jump across. Now, if you're coming from the sea domination side and you expect enemies to be in this choke point, especially sitting on that barrel right there, which will definitely happen in opening routes a lot, you'll almost always see at least one person, oftentimes 2 or 3 people go to that choke point right there off the beginning of a game. As you're coming up here, instead of challenging from down low or right here where they have an advantage, I like to come up to this area right here, and look at that. If you crouch, you can kind of peek around the corner right here, get an excellent line of sight on that barrel. They are typically not going to be able to see you here, or at least it'll take them too long to find out where you are before they're already dead. So this is a great way to challenge those people on that barrel, and they usually don't see it coming. Now, just in case you didn't realize, you can mantle into this window here. I've seen some people go around when they could have easily just mantled up like that. That one's pretty straightforward, but it's just for those people that may not have caught that. And finally, the last unique line of sight I have for you guys is actually behind the church area. This is a way to get a great line of sight into the top balcony area. You can actually get a line of sight right into the doorway where the cave is. A lot of times people will be sitting on that balcony or just inside that doorway, and you can actually see them pretty clearly from right back here, as long as you get the angle right there. That's the doorway. You'll be able to see people through there, and you can easily pick them off. They'll have no clue at all what hit them. I really like to do this if I get a spawn back here, which we'll go over the spawns in just a minute. If I spawn back here, a lot of times I'll just push up here, have a quick check. If somebody's there, it's a free kill. If not, then it's fine and I can move on. So that pretty much covers it for the unique lines of sight, as well as any other sort of jump spots that I wanted to show you guys on Militia. Now let's get into the spawn points. And the spawn points on Militia are very important to know because this isn't a linear map. This isn't your typical map where spawns are super easy to predict all the time. You tend to get spawns flipping into various zones around the map. So our primary spawns, these ones are relatively straightforward. We've got the spawns down by the A domination flag towards the left side of the map as you're looking at it now. And then we've got the spawns on the top right of the map as you're looking at it. And those are the C domination spawns. These two sets of spawns are the ones that you'll see most of the time, assuming there isn't really much pressure put on the spawns. However, we've also got a ton of secondary spawns on Militia, and they're relatively common as well because it's pretty easy to get a line of sight and block the primary spawns within this map. So with this, we've got essentially 3 zones of secondary spawns. On the top side of the map, I like to call these the bunker spawns just because when you spawn there, oftentimes you'll come through the bunker, or at least you're going to be passing through behind the bunker area. These ones typically only occur if all of the other spawn zones are occupied or people have a line of sight on it. Then you'll often push the enemies into this area here. So if your team is making a push either towards the A domination or C domination spawns, and you also have control of the church area, this is typically where you're going to end up pushing the enemy spawn point. As for the other secondary spawn zones, we've got the one spawn zone behind the church towards the bottom of the map as you see it right now. Once again, this is most often seen when all of the other spawn zones are blocked off, so if you happen to have people that are up towards that bunker area and also the primary spawn zones are blocked off, then it will often push them back behind the church area here. This just leaves us with that small group of spawns to the right side of the map as well, and this is one that will very frequently occur if you're pushing up towards the C domination spawns, because it's really easy to get a long line of sight on the C domination spawns, and instead of spawning people in your line of sight, it will flip them just around the corner to these spawns. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of Maps Exposed on Militia. A quick note about this series is I've been noticing that it's not really all that popular. It doesn't seem like it's doing too well in comparison to other Call of Duty videos. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to finish off the base maps that came with the game, but I don't think I'm going to be covering DLC maps with this series. I think that's a fair compromise. I'd not really enjoy myself too much creating this series, and I would rather be making other videos, but I did say that I'm going to cover all the maps, so at least I will cover all of the base maps, and then we'll probably just wrap up the series there. So we do still have a few more base maps to cover. If you guys have missed any of the previous episodes of Maps Exposed, I will leave a link to the playlist down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah.